Hello, Sioux Falls. Welcome to Planning Preview for the month of January 2022. I'm joined today by Jason Bieber with the City of Sioux Falls. How are you doing today, Jason?
Doing great. It's a beautiful day out there today.
It is, and we've turned, at least in the Planning Commission world, the agenda over to January. And
yes.
We've got quite a full one for the first month of the year. Is that usually that way, or?
To be honest with you, Eric, this is probably the biggest agenda I've ever seen in my time in December or January meetings. So yes, usually we average 6 cases probably, so yes.
Yeah, I believe it, and just a testament to how much is going on in Sioux Falls right now, and we'll talk about that more in the second half of the show, but let's go ahead and get started with all these agenda items for the month of January. First on the list is a rezone. It's a rezone from RS Single Family Residential Suburban and O Office Districts to the RA3 Apartment and Residential High Density and C and Conservation Districts. That's at 2201 Old Yankton Circle. That was up on our agenda last month.
Yep, we had this one on the agenda last month. The applicant held a neighborhood meeting. There were some concerns on the project, so we deferred it that month to give us a little bit more time with city staff to work with the applicant. Since that time, the applicant has decided to withdraw this application. So it will have to go to the Planning Commission on January 5th, but we will be withdrawing it at that time. So. Okay,
very good. So still a noticed item, so somebody can come give public input on that if they'd like. Next on our list is a rezone from the C3 Community Commercial District to the O Office District. That's at 7201 South Minnesota Avenue, so south side of town.
Yep, this is the old Landscape Garden Center. So I believe they're actually getting pretty close to being moved out there and moving down to, I think, 106 they're on now. And so office business is looking to go in that northwest corner and just need a little bit more space. That's that zone commercial, so they're just kind of adding a little bit more space to build their office on there. Kind of the first project on that specific entire lot now.
Yeah, so exciting to hear about that. We've kind of been talking about this for a year or so now, and it's a long time, and it's exciting to see it kind of come to fruition and come through the Planning Commission. Next on our list is a rezone from RD1 Twin Home Duplex Residential Suburban and RD2 Suburban Townhome Districts. That's going over to the RA1 Apartment Residential Low Density and RA2 Apartment Residential Moderate Density. That's at East 26th Street and west of Veterans Parkway. So kind of the southwest corner of 26th and Veterans. Yeah, if you've been out there, there's just tons of piles of dirt being moved. And I believe they got some streets cut in too. So really the overall intent of this development's not really changing. The full reason for the rezone is the RD2 portion. They're not looking to actually split those off into separate owners for each townhome. They're just going to be 4 units on one lot. And that, as you know, kind of kicks us up into that next zoning district to the RA1. So it'll look the same, 4 units on one lot. It just won't be platted separately. And then the RA2 portion is just cleaning up a little bit of a existing lot that has RA2 on it. So. Okay, yeah, and you're right. Just tons of dirt work going on in that area right now. So fun to see. Next on the list is a rezone from C2 Neighborhood Commercial District to RS1 Single Family Residential, Suburban, and also some of the Conservation District. That's located north and east of 6th Street and Veterans Parkway, so northeast area of town.
Yep, so this is kind of just north of Arrowhead Parkway where they're building the houses up there. There's just, they're continuing to build single family. That's gone kind of crazy up in that area. Preston Metler's been building a lot out there, and it's really, being in the Brandon School Districts, really kept going and kept constructing single family. So one of the lots actually has a little portion of C2 on it, so they're just kind of cleaning that up to keep building those single family houses.
Okay, it's amazing the growth we've seen with that Veterans Parkway going through. That's a really hot area out there right now. Next on the agenda for January is a rezone from RA2 Residential Apartment Modern Density District to the RS Single Family Residential Suburban and RD1 Twin Home Duplex Residential Districts. That's at 7300 East 41st Street. So very far east side of town, kind of close to 41st Street?
Yep. So this is kind of 41st and getting out to 6 Mile Road on the north side of 41st Street. Okay. Really, they're kind of down zoning it, so they zoned it RA2, get the highest intense zoning. You know, this is probably 7-8 years ago that the comp plan would allow. Now they're continuing to build single family twin homes, kind of that extension of Copper Creek Estates. So they don't need the RA2 zoning anymore. They're just looking to do some little bit less dense development. So.
Okay. very good. Next on the agenda is a rezone from C2 commercial neighborhood, live work, and RD2 townhome residential suburban districts. That's going over to C3 commercial and C2 commercial neighborhood and streetcar districts. That's at East 57th Street and Rateliff, down on the southeast side of town.
Yep, exactly. So kind of on 57th Street and then west of Veterans Parkway. The old Hobson land is called Harvest Creek. Empire Homes has been building quite a few townhomes and things on there. Well, this is kind of the frontage along 57th Street. Really, a lot of it's already zoned commercial. They're looking to upzone one portion for a little bit larger of a user, and then really start filling in all the way over with some commercial and office uses. So.
Okay, understood. Next on the list is a rezone from the C2 Neighborhood Commercial District to the I-1 Light Industrial District. That's at 5211 and 5217 North Healy Lane. So kind of I-90 and Cliff area?
Yep, absolutely. This is kind of west of the big truck wash and truck stop up on 90 and Cliff Avenue. There's still some vacant land out there. Most of it's developed as industrial, and so a portion of it behind there is still zoned commercial. So they're looking at just taking that lot and zoning it all I-1 to kind of continue the warehouse, light manufacturing that they've been doing out there. So. Okay,
very good. Next on the agenda is a rezone from the C4 Regional Commercial District over to I-1 Light Industrial District. That's at 2215 North Westport Avenue, kind of Westport Russell.
Yeah, so this is the old site of the old hotel that was torn down. I believe one corner of the American Inn was constructed. The other corner we currently have kind of a glass place, light industrial use. So this will be another kind of chunk of that old parcel that they're looking to do some more light industrial out there.
Okay, very good. That concludes the rezones, Jason, and as you know, on the next couple items on our list are a couple conditional use permits for medical cannabis dispensaries. So let's, before we get into the specific items themselves, we got a little bit of time here. Let's maybe talk about the process and how we've gotten here.
Yeah.
Because it's been a year or so that we've been talking about medical cannabis, and here they are on our agenda.
Yep, as you know, we've been working on this probably since beginning of 2021, and really started ramping up in June and July when we got the state, when they were going to come out with their specific rules and how you apply for it. And that was done with a lot of task force meetings, as we called it, with representatives from Minnehaha, Lincoln, and the city of Sioux Falls on that task force, and then also inviting people from the industry as well as citizens to come in and voice their opinions on where should these be located? Should we cap the number of them? How much should licenses be? Really, the entire gambit of what a city is allowed to do with medical dispensaries and cannabis uses. And really, we've got to the point where we held the lottery last month, middle of November. The city council and the administration stated that they wanted 5 total medical cannabis dispensaries in town, and then also testing facilities, but none of the manufacturing or the distribution of cannabis in town. So we settled on 5. Those 5 applicants were done on a drawing, a ping pong ball drawing. I think there were 79 total applications.
Okay.
5 were chosen. Of those 5 that we had, as we went through them, 2 of those needed a conditional use permit, so the other 3 were allowed to go in by right because they met the separation distances. And so now these 2 that you see here don't meet that 1,000 feet from a sensitive land use. And in the case of number 13, our first one on here, this one's looking to go at the northwest corner of 69th and Louise Avenue, kind of by Willikers. And their sensitive land use is east across Louise Avenue, and then across Billion, the car lot.
Yep.
There's that existing MB daycare there.
Yep.
So, over 800 feet away and across major arterial streets. So really not much of it bothering that sensitive land use.
Okay, gotcha. So kind of the stage that we're at here with these now, it's a different conversation, but very similar process and procedure to alcohol. Is that right? Goes before the Planning Commission, needs a conditional use permit. You don't always need a conditional use permit for a medical cannabis dispensary. Same with alcohol. But with these ones, with the location to a sensitive land use, you do. And then I would imagine it's the same thing. It goes to the Planning Commission, and if it's not appealed, is it final? If it is appealed, then goes to council. Is that right?
Yep, you're absolutely correct. So you as a Planning Commission would vote on this. If it's approved or denied, then either there'd be the right for the applicant, or if any property owner that had an issue with it or any resident of Sioux Falls could appeal it to the city council for the ultimate vote.
Okay.
And you're right, we have treated these similar to alcohol. A lot of these, we're looking for, well, if it's pretty close to something, do we need to provide additional buffering? Do we need to provide, more landscaping, a berm, a fence to try and separate those? In this case, specifically this one, you got 6 lanes of Louise Avenue and then a car lot. So you really shouldn't have much conflict between the daycare and the specific cannabis establishment.
Understood. And I think it's, I think it maybe can speak for the whole commission. We're excited to have these just because a lot of strong opinions on both sides. And, we've discussed the merits of them, and now it's exciting to get down to the actual projects themselves and hear from both sides. Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see how many people show up, and if it's residents or if it's maybe some of the business owners that are going to get notified within that notification area if that's something they don't want near their business. So it'll be interesting.
You hit on the first one, but let's touch on it real quick again, just so everybody knows. It's a conditional use permit for a medical cannabis dispensary located within 500 to 1,000 feet of a sensitive land use. That's at 3613 West Avera Drive, so kind of 69th and Louise area.
This one's actually on Carolyn, the second one. Yep,
very
good. Yeah, Carolyn Avenue there. So this is also kind of a similar situation. It's in an existing strip mall in Carolyn, kind of west of Menard, so butts up to the interstate.
Yep.
And the actual sensitive land use on this one is also all the way across the interstate to the west. And then west of Galaxy Gaming, there's some twin homes there. So as we look at this specific application too, there's already that required buffering from it. I mean, you have an interstate, and then you have more commercial, and then you have the sensitive land use. So these two, I think we're a little bit lucky that we don't really have much of they need a conditional use, but there's not really much of a conflict between those sensitive land use, which helps out quite a bit in that aspect of it.
Sure, very good. Well, thanks for joining us for the first half of the program. Jason's going to stick around with us for the second half of the program as well. As many of you know, the city of Sioux Falls just hit $1 billion in permits for the year 2021. We're going to talk about that, what that means for the city of Sioux Falls.
Hi, my name is Brent, and I'm a housing specialist for the city of Sioux Falls, and I'm out here with Kelly, property maintenance manager for the city. We're out here on this snowy day, and we're here to talk about sidewalks. So Kelly, why do we need to clean the sidewalks?
Well, many people use the sidewalks for transportation, kids getting to school, some people, elderly, disabled, or for whatever reason, they go to grocery stores or to work, they need a safe place to travel as well.
So we use about 2 feet of space. Do we only need to scoop a path, or do we have to go side to side?
Go the entire width of the sidewalk, edge to edge, and that way it's, ADA accessible for those in wheelchairs.
Okay. Today, I don't know if we're going to get 2 inches of snow, but do we have to wait till 2 inches, or do you have to start scooping right away?
No, you have to clear your sidewalk after any snow or ice event, and that's, within 48 hours after that event, we need that cleared off.
Well, thanks, Kelly. Well, if you're out scooping your snow and you see that your neighbor's house needs sidewalks scooped as well, do the neighborly thing and help your neighbor out.
If you'd like to see if one of our city programs can help you out, call 367-8180 or check us out online at siouxfalls.org.
Welcome back from the break, Sioux Falls. Thank you for sticking with us. As mentioned, I've got Jason Bieber back with us from the break. Jason, let's talk about the big news from the end of November. We found out the city of Sioux Falls passed the $1 billion mark in permits for the first time. Tell us what all goes into that data. What is exactly that number?
Yeah. Great, yeah, as we teased it last month, we're getting close to $1 billion, and it was something obviously the city of Sioux Falls had never gotten to before. I think last year we had a little over $900 million. And really hit that at the end of November. I guessed it was going to be farther along in December, so I lost the bet. But We did, and really we're getting stuff everywhere. I mean, you know, we're doing the residential. We had almost $90 million so far through the year, or the end of November. I mean, we still got another month to go and a lot of projects in the hopper. So we're at $290 million for residential. Last year we had 233, and even the year before, if people say, well, COVID caused a lot, we're at 205. So we're almost $85 million ahead of 2019 with residential.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of addition and remodel, people putting money into their homes. We're pretty even for what we've done over the last couple of years. We're right there, you know, but a little ahead of the last couple of years, but really on par. But one of the big things, and maybe people have seen this all over town with all these developments, commercial. I mean, we're at $408 million in commercial, new commercial buildings, businesses. And you think about that, last year we had 267, which is pretty obvious. People weren't building, a lot of projects kind of halted because of COVID. So that was maybe a little down year. But if you look in 2019, 314 million, so we're almost 100 million ahead of 2019. So we're doing really good with the commercial. And then we're also about 100 million ahead of commercial additions and remodels, just people putting a lot of money into their businesses in Sioux Falls.
Yeah, there's just so much investment, and I think part of it is, you know, we did take a little bit of time off there, and there was a lot of uncertainty, but then also it seems to me when you hear this $1 billion figure, we've really hit a threshold where we're just going to go into hyperdrive here, and everybody really likes the population growth in this town. We need to accommodate that in the commercial side, right? That's got to have a lot to do with it.
Absolutely, and we all know Sioux Falls likes their restaurants, likes their retail businesses, and I think some of these businesses that come in here, these chains that are out of city or out of state that really don't know Sioux Falls, and like, okay, we'll go there. You know, like the Chipotle's, the Chick-fil-A's are pleasantly surprised at how much we support our restaurants, to be honest with you. And just kind of a fun little trivia fact is, so Emma Crumby's, that's right over there by Chipotle. Somebody told me that their record for most cookies sold on opening day was like 5,000 or 6,000. Sioux Falls did 15,000 on opening day. So, I mean, you can just tell how much we're into those things.
Yeah, we are. We love the new thing, don't we?
Absolutely.
Everybody loves flocking to them. And if you open up a sandwich shop and have a chicken sandwich, you're going to have a line out your door, apparently. Let's talk apartments. Multifamily, so popular right now. I talk to so many developers and they have a hard time keeping up with that. Is that going to be the trend in the future here? We're just going to keep building apartments as fast as we can?
Yeah, I think we're going to keep doing that until the market, you know, starts to come back and the occupancy rate lowers. I know somebody from one of the companies here said they have, you know, close to 5,000 apartment units in town, and if you wanted to go by the end of the month to rent an apartment, he'd have like 12 to show you. So think about, I mean, less than 99% occupancy. Well, you got to keep building until you can get that occupancy rate down, and then you kind of get the cycle where we back off a little bit on the apartments. But I mean, I don't know when that's going to happen. We're still so high occupancy rates. We just can't build them fast enough. So.
Yeah, and how about the single family side of the world? You know, a lot of homeowners see that. They're seeing their values increase exponentially. Just there's so little inventory, and you know, one of the easiest ways to solve that is by building new homes, but got to have the land and the ability to do that. We saw quite a bit of an increase in the last couple of years here, but do you expect that to keep going up and up as well?
Yeah, I mean, I see that for especially 2022. I mean, you look at our numbers, so 2019, these are all of our units that include single family, duplexes, townhomes, and multifamily. We are just over 1,500 units at this time at the end of November. Right now we're over 3,000 units, so we're twice as many. I mean, think about that. And I know a lot of people, these developers or builders are building a house and they don't even get a sign in the yard before somebody buys it.
Sure.
You know, and we still deal, you know, we have a couple realtors on the planning commission. They still talk about how inventories, you know, half to a third of what they typically have on the market. So.
Yeah. Any particular area of town, Jason, that's more popular than another? Are you seeing most of this money go into any particular area, or are we doing a good job of surrounding the town?
I think we're doing a really good job now, especially putting it where we need to. You know, we've seen the west side. You're always going to get west side and east side because people either like to live on the west side or the east side.
Yep.
But a lot what we're seeing is over, you know, kind of southeast. We're seeing a lot of growth there, you know, in the Brandon School District, New Brandon School. And really what we're seeing, and not maybe so much the actual construction yet, but a lot of land that's been annexed in and coming online in the recent months. Up there by Jefferson High School, northwest part of town, you know, we got the high school, we're gonna have Amazon, CJ Foods. There's a lot of acres of land that have just recently been annexed in and are going through the subdivision process. So those babies are ready at the beginning of the year to start construction. I know if you drive up there on Marion, you see McGovern Middle School and the fire station, they look like they're in the middle of nowhere.
Yes, they do.
Give it 5 years, they'll look like it'll be in the middle of a city.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, I believe it. And speaking of that area town, they've had some big projects. A lot of those numbers are included in those 2021 numbers. Talk to us about those big projects, getting those to Sioux Falls and what it means for our numbers.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that's really good about this year is we didn't have that ginormous project. Like last year we did 900 million, but 212 million of that was Amazon, right? So that takes, you know, 25% of your total valuation. This year our biggest project has been 60 million, which was the Amazon remodel, so which is crazy. There's $270 million in one building. But then really everything kind of drops down. I think the next one was a safety training center, which is 33 million. So we've got a ton of projects in the 20 to 30 million range, so that are making up our huge $1 billion. We don't have a school or a ginormous hospital or an event center or an large Amazon. That's a lot of building to get to that number without a project that's over $100 million.
Yeah. In particular, they're private projects. You know, a lot of cities see some big numbers in certain years, but it's because it's an arena or some big thing, and these are mostly all private projects. And that's one of the amazing things for next year that we're probably going to see is this number going higher, because next year we'll have the huge commitment into our wastewater treatment plant. That's a $200 million project, along with a couple other big city projects that we're doing. So like you said, 33 million is about all we had from a big city project, which is really down in most years, to be honest with you. Sure, and a couple big downtown ones. I know those permits get pulled over time, so it's not all at one lump, but Sioux Steel and Sharapa, I would imagine those are, you know, some big permits as well.
Yeah, and I think we've just done the footing and foundation for both of those, so yes, you're right. I mean, over the next 2 years with the city investment in the River Greenway and those two projects, among other things that we're seeing, you know, there's about $300 to $400 million being invested in downtown in the next couple of years. Think about that. That's crazy.
Let's talk comparison a little bit. We're real proud people here in Sioux Falls. We used to be this, quiet, sleepy little town, and now we're not so much anymore. So I think that's where some of the desire to compare us to the Fargos and Des Moines and Rochester and Sioux City comes from. Talk to us about our numbers for this last year in comparison to some of those towns around us.
Yeah, great. And a lot of people are, well, what's $1 billion mean for construction valuation? Is that a lot or not a lot? You know, it sounds like a lot to us because we deal with it, but if you don't have a comparison to maybe another city, you don't really know how much that is. So just to give you an idea, so these are some numbers that our department pulled just to kind of give people an idea of, like, is $1 billion a lot? Is it a big deal? Well, yeah, in our world it is a big deal. Through the end of October, just a comparison, Omaha, Nebraska, which is what, 3 times as big as us, or close to 3 times as big, they were at just over $1 billion. And at that time we were at 917 million. So we were less than 100 million away and 1/3 of the size. So right there,
statistic.
Right there. Rochester's another good one. They were at 403, almost $404 million, and we're at 917, and they're bigger than Sioux Falls, maybe twice as big. So you think about it, we're twice as much construction valuation as them.
It's just fascinating to be on par with somebody like Omaha.
Yeah,
it really
absolutely.
Is. We never would have thought about that previously, and here we are.
Yeah, absolutely. And another good one, I mean, we don't usually compare ourselves to them, but like Boise, Idaho, you know, they're people think of them as a pretty large city. They're way bigger than Sioux Falls. They were just under 900 million, so we're ahead of them with construction valuation, and the biggest city in Idaho. So it's a big deal. It's a lot of construction and a lot of people invested in our city. Not only corporations coming from out of town, but also our business owners here that are putting money. I mean, Sharapa, like you said, Sioux Steel, those are all local people putting money into our economy. So,
thanks for coming, Jason.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for watching Sioux Falls. As always, we'd like to remind you of our upcoming Planning Commission meeting. It will be held January 5th at Carnegie Town Hall in downtown Sioux Falls. That meeting's at 6 p.m. We always love to hear from members of the public on agenda items, but also if you have a planning related item you'd like to raise with us that's not on the agenda, we'd love to hear your public input as well. Thank you for watching today.